Okay. According to Zoom, content of this meeting is being sent to YouTube. It does not. Hmm. So does that mean I am live now? Let's see. I'm trying to pull. Pull up here on YouTube. There it is. Yeah, all right. I got the chat up now. Every time I haven't been here in a while, and they update Zoom, I always get lost for a hot second. So, okay, well, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to my channel. This is Sassy Seer Sheila. Today is Sunday, October the 27th, 2024. And I know that I haven't been here in quite some time. And there's a reason for that. And I'm directing everybody. I just uploaded a conversation I had this morning with Crystal Hemphill, Journey into It, also a member of the New Light Streaming Love team. Um, that is myself and Crystal and Lisa, and Lori has also been a part of that team. And, we just haven't been doing anything. I personally haven't felt drawn. Crystal hasn't felt drawn. Lisa hasn't felt drawn. There's been a lot of blankness, right? In some ways, I feel there's been a bit of depression almost as well. I say that now as I'm feeling into, because I know that in one of our other conversations, Lisa sort of admitted to feeling a bit depressed at one point as well. But there's so much richness in that conversation, and I just uploaded that over on the New Light Streaming Love YouTube page, and there will be a in the recorded version of this live. I will be putting a link. If you're not subscribed over at New Light Streaming Love, I highly recommend that you do that. There may come a time very soon here when the only um, channel I may be involved in will be that one. I don't know. So if you are a fan of me, my energy, what I think I'm doing here, which, is really just sharing my experiences. And you'll see in that conversation, uh, coming to understand who I am and how I operate, even for my own highest and best, is through these conversations. This is how I get to know myself. This is how so there, it conscious conversation central, what my original impetus was for the channel is coming back. And I know I've said that before, but something feels a little different. And I highly recommend that you go over and take a look at that conversation between myself and Crystal. And I'm using this here to announce that Crystal and I are going to try some new things out on New Light Streaming Love on the YouTube channel. And so tomorrow we will, oh yeah, I am not at all surprised to see you here because you've been hot and heavy on my mind. I need a conversation with you. A face-to-face Zoom doesn't have to be recorded, but I have to have a conversation with you. And in this moment of now, God, I almost want to cry. In this moment of now, I'm feeling like someday I will be getting a hug from you. You carry something for me. I know that. I've always known that you have something for me. Or that we were going to work together. I feel the same way about you that I have felt about Crystal when I first met her. Generally, that means that there's something for me. I feel like there it would probably be both, but mostly in these moments of now, you carry something. I don't know what it is. I have no clue as to exactly what it is, but there's a reason that you have been my friend for all these years, even peripherally. I have always felt very strongly. And again, I got no clue as to what it is. So, let me know. Reach out to me. Let me know when you have some free time, then when we can have a little conversation. As I also have a couple of things for you that I wanted to chat with you about what I put together for you. They've been ready for some time, and when I went to email it, something said to hold it, and I'm not even sure why. And then, so it's very interesting. At any rate, I decided to come here this evening to do a live just to announce that we are going to begin doing some lives tomorrow morning. Crystal and I. It's during that conversation this morning with Crystal, one thing came crystal clear to me, for me, about all of this. Is this what I'm doing here is very important for me. If it don't help another soul, if nobody ever gets anything out of this, I can't stop. The minute I stop this, I start, something happens internally, and I it's not a good scene. Just not a good scene, man. So I said something once before about my running from myself. And this is what I'm referring to. So, in some iteration, whether it will be here, whether it will be there, um, I'm not hiding anymore. I can't. This is too, if I really have, I enjoyed my life so much more immensely when I was interacting with folks, right? And there hasn't been a lot of interaction in the last 2 years, and I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I don't know. I don't know how to make it happen any other way. Okay, I don't know why I felt to grab this deck. This deck is a new deck that I was inspired to get based on my housemate's boyfriend has this deck, and he brought his deck over and showed it to me one day, and I was like, and I just knew I had to have this deck, and I don't know why but my hand went right over and picked this one. So now this says snow. This is the Shaman Direct Alchemy Elementals. I am not all that familiar with this deck, with what it's trying to convey. All I know is the artwork drew me in so quickly when I saw it that it just spoke to me immediately. Okay, so it's card number 43, which is a 7 numerologically. Now, I don't know if this is one of those things where it's hard to find in the book. And yes, the answer to that is yes. So according to this, it says sky, snow, and star. Well, one of the things that I know, I always feel whenever I feel into snow is like, you always do, pure as the driven snow. And I know that even from my childhood, because I haven't been around snow a lot in my adulthood, but in my way deep childhood, I recall standing in the snow and there's just something so pristine about it, right? Especially if it's un if it's clean and crisp and pure and it just evokes all of those things, right? And what's interesting to me is that the artwork that appears on this is very Stargate in nature. Looks like a Stargate. And I know that it's probably not something you can see very well, but there's a whale right here. So that's kind of interesting to me too, because you wouldn't think that a whale would be appearing where there's snow. Exactly, right? But again, okay. One of the things that I've had swimming in my field today, and we talked about it in our conversation this morning, was um, there was some remote viewing and some Clif High WebBot analyses, data sets analyzed several years ago in some cases, in Clif High's case, in regards to the Joe Rogan and Trump podcast. I know this might sound a little odd to some, but it was remote viewed. I'm going to place the links to these videos in the show more section of this video after this live. But there's some huge puzzle pieces in there. And I'm feeling it echoed for me in this. Clif High keeps using the words temporal marker. Now, I don't know what that means for you, but for me, a temporal marker would indicate a something that happens in time across all possible timelines. For me, that's what a temporal marker is. And in his data sets, what I gleaned from these two conversations that were being had between Dick Allgire and Clif High, Dick Allgire is a military trained remote viewer who remote viewed this podcast. It's a very interesting conversation between these two cats, man. Um, that this would mark a turning point. And this was something that they both said prior to anyone, and these videos were done as the first announcements came out months ago about they released them to the public now about when they heard that they were considering doing these podcasts, right? That it hadn't even been made known that it was absolutely going to be one, which I hadn't heard about all of that. At any rate, because of the way that Clif High speaks about it being a temporal marker, and he's talking about it being an indication or a marking point in time for the entry of what he's calling sci-fi world. And what I glean him to mean by that is just the beginning of a dun, 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 new paradigm, for lack of a better terminology. It's one of his, the data sets, right? So, okay, let me see if I can find this now because I really want to. I think this is very interesting here. Here we go. Wow, that was pretty easy. I said, let me see if I can find it, and I did. So, according to the book, this says star. The name of the game on this planet is evolution. Yeah. You, my dear, came here to evolve. not to be perfect, not to impress other people, and not to collect likes for your bikini selfies or your six pack stomach situation. Oh, thank God, because I got none of that going on. I'm sorry, but if that was the case, which is probably another reason why I don't want to charge for anything because it'd be a little embarrassing. Earth is an evolutionary realm. What this means is that you need to get real with yourself, like really real. No, that's a true. Oh my God, that's so true. You cannot hide. Oh my God, the whole conversation this morning, for me, what I had to get out of this conversation was that I've been hiding from me, running and hiding from me still and yet again. You cannot hide from your shadows or your issues. You must look within and get clear on what is and isn't serving you. Oh my gosh, as well as what it's time to shift and to let go of, to stubbornly cling to that which is no longer serving you, and to pretend that it's all fine and and pop rocks, all fine and pop rocks. I'm loving this book, by the way, is a false means of achieving power. And babe, you're far too lit to settle for false power. Take some time out for introspection and self inquiry and acknowledge the triggers and the traumas that are ready to be transmuted. It doesn't have to be hard or painful or labor intensive. These aspects are simply inviting acknowledgement so that you can gracefully move on and reclaim the true power that is naturally yours. Oh my gosh. And so for me, the fact that that's presenting as a stargate is even more delicious because of the way um, my puzzle pieces have been leading me to different things. And the Stargate, the whole thing about Stargate was part of that. Wow, that's pretty daggum delicious there. I'm going to hold this one out because I'm being led to pull at least one more. The fairies want to weigh in, but you know what? I haven't done this in quite some time, and my Rumi deck was feeling pretty lonesome the last time the last time I checked in. So we'll do a Rumi card, but my goodness. I really wasn't sure what to expect coming here to do this. Um, and I can't, Coincidence Cafe, the fact that you're here. When I saw one person watching, I wondered if that was you. And then the next thing, there you are saying it was you. That's so. Card number 41, that's a five, numerologically speaking. It's all about change, generally, is the way I view that. Victory of Maryam, Maryam, Maryam. Wow, that is so interesting too, because it looks like there's, wow, an eruption from the inside out and from the outside in. So, one of the other things that you'll hear us speaking about in that conversation is the experience that we've had now of the book that I just finished. It's all finished. I got one more. The messages from the for the ground crew has to be recorded, but the handbook for the new paradigm is complete, both here on this channel and on New Light Streaming Love. So if you are at all drawn to this, they're all one, two, and three, and they each have their own playlist. This is a series of channelings that talks about what's going on the planet right now, and it's been That those channelings started coming in, I would say, in the late mid to late 80s, over the course of the 90s. The 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 closest thing that I could come to a present day was being referred to in the books as 2003, during one of the times they were, over in the desert, either Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. And but boy, oh boy, they're certainly talking about now, and they're talking about the new that everybody's been feeling and thinking. And so when all of this about being a temporal marker, being moving from one state of being to the next, right? There's all these puzzle pieces. And then I also had put in my field that now scientists, and I'll link that in this video as well, there is an article out there that scientists are postulating that our galaxy is in the midst of a gigantic cosmic void. Well, that's kind of an interesting thing to have knowledge come of, right? And that too, there's a lot of puzzle pieces there with that. For me, different channelings that have been received. So, the victory of Mariam here. I'm going to pull that out now. Let's see what that has to say. I swear it looks like another bit of evolution there. If you look at that, a breaking free, a breaking out of, a growing and expanding. Well, and 5 for me has always been all about change. It can be easy change, it can be difficult change, but change nonetheless. Okay, Victory of Miriam from the Remy deck. If you are longing to caress the moon, don't turn away from it. If you are not ill, why do you crawl under a blanket to hide? See, I'm calling myself right out again, man. You are in a quarry of sweets. Why do you look so sour? You live in the spring of life. Why are you withered inside? Don't fight against yourself. Don't flee from what could be your glory. Like a fearless moth, dive into the flame. Why be linked to your obsessions? Burn out in the flames until your heart and soul are enlightened. Get out of the old carcass and form yourself a new body. Okay, well, my gosh, that sounds like a direct order for me, doesn't it? I mean, because I've been going through some really interesting stuff here with my body. Hmm. Why are you afraid of a fox when you descend from lions? Why be a lame ass when you have the strength of stallions? The beloved you seek will arrive to open the door to your fortune, for love is the key that opens all your locks. Wow, I'm being pointed now to something Crystal said to me in our conversation earlier that, again, you can see over on New Light Streaming Love, about how when we manifest that which we desire, sometimes it scares the hell out of us, is basically what that was that she was speaking to. Wow. Okay. Well, I know the fairies wanted to chime in, and then that'll be it for today. Oh, hey, good to see you too, Andrew. Astro Gardens in the house. Um, I still I'm ready, Andrew. Hit me up. Let me know sometimes this week that you're free, that we can get together and if you're ready, it's time. Dude, I can't. I've been hiding. I've been hiding, so I need an outlet. I gotta build me an outlet. I will show up when there are folks for whatever the reason. I don't know what that is. I don't show up for me. I don't show up for me. This is how I show up for me. I don't know why that is. I'm learning my own love language, I guess, my love language for myself. Oh my gosh, the Cruac. I think I'm ready, definitely up for a talk. Well, listen, and I'm Andrew, it does not necessarily have to be recorded. I I I want to, of course, because I always feel, look, this is why I feel like things like the Joe Rogan podcast with Trump are not just successful, but they are important. This is why I started Conscious Conversation Central in the first place. Now I know this to be true because there's not enough adults having adult conversations that are willing to share and show how not every you nobody is ever going to agree on everything. It's an impossibility, and we all got to get over ourselves about that because we all come from things from a different perspective. Your perspective carries with it everything you've ever experienced in your life. And you've not experienced everything I've experienced in my life. So your perspective is going to be completely different than mine. And if we all would just relax ourselves into, because listen, I remember back in the day having conversations with people and being able to have conversations with folks you just adore and touching on a subject that maybe not everybody agreed on the same thing. We can't agree to disagree and move on. No, in the public discourse, it's almost as though having conversations, the art of conversation has died or something. And I now see that as a very real and important thing. And so, yes, I haven't finished it yet. We have some things going on here in the house, so I'm like right halfway through. Plus, I had that conversation this morning, and I had to get that out and everything. But it's a huge thing. If you're just arriving, do go and take a look at the conversation I had this morning with Crystal about that and the Clif High thing. So, she of the Cruac is what jumped out when I was saying that, and I'm not at all surprised. Again, this is the number five, and kind of interesting to me. Again, on all based on all the cards that I pulled today, very interesting. Took it in small doses as well through two World Series games too. Oh, all right. She of the Cruac, the receptive principle, nurturing, fertility. This is the great goddess, the many named mother of all. And of all God and all goddesses are attributes or aspects of her. Her cup, the Cruac, overflows with bounty for all. She is the yin energy of the universe, nurturing, compassionate, and wise. She gives form and brings into manifestation the will and the life force of he of the fiery sword. His is the intention, the action, and hers is the manifest reality. In a sense, she is the Cruac, holding all the worlds within her being. One Oracle group member saw the Cruac as a great bowl, like a scrying tool for seeing past, present, or future potential, but filled with energy instead of water. Within it, he saw a tower with a moon above it, a farmhouse, and many other bits and pieces of our world. He felt that if you dropped something in the water, these things would scatter out to become reality, archetypes manifesting everywhere. He said she is the woman who dreams, and her dreams are worlds and all that is in them. Looking at this card, another Oracle member wrote, writes, what I see here is the energy of being held lovingly in the palm of the hand of the great goddess, followed by a relaxed sigh and release. She of the Cruach is holder of all of our sorrows and all of our joys. Her Cruach, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, so we'll all get over that, shall we? Her Cruach, the miraculous chalice, is the womb of birth and the cauldron of rebirth, the chalice of healing, the container holding the germinating seed. She is the body, the soul shrine that holds the spirit and keeps it from being lost or dissipated in a formless fog. She is pattern and form in the abstract and in the specific. Within her, we take form, grow, achieve fulfillment, and let go of that form to move on to the next phase of our being. All of the universe, each particle, every being is cherished by her. She of the Cruach may indicate a form of pregnancy. That's kind of interesting because somebody told me just yesterday that their womb was doing some really interesting, this is someone who's through the menopause portion of their life, and her womb was radiating a lot of energy recently for her. So that's kind of interesting. Um, a necessary time of nurturing and development. We need to be open to her overflowing grace. She may also indicate a need to allow her nurturing grace to flow through us to others in the form of unconditional love and giving and spiritual healing. She tells us of the need for unconditional receiving, of making the best of what we are offered. She also reminds us that unbounded love and grace is ours, just waiting to be accepted. The presence of this card in a reading radiates comfort and nurturing to the cards around it. Well, it's kind of interesting that it was put just like that there at the end, because as I was reading that, I was seeing both of these cards as well. Both, to my mind, feminine cards, all talking about evolutionary uh, coming through, right? Yes, in one way, that is a yang principle of being shown here, but there's something very feminine about it as well for me. I don't know why that is, but there just is. And definitely this one has a lot of that feminine. So I see this as, well, mostly, again, all of these are usually for me. I think that if you've been drawn here for this, you'll find something in it for you as well. I am convinced that the more and more we each moves forward, if the quest, okay, so my quest is I want to know who and what we are. What am I actually doing here? Is this an evolutionary thing? I'm 63 years old. Conventional wisdom, even if I am able to live as long as my great grandmother did, who lived to her admitted age was 92, but I believe she was, at least over 102 because she was at least 10 years older than she actually admitted to, right? So I have that longevity. My father didn't die until after he was 80. My mother died a little earlier, but she, had a lot of problems with her lungs and whatnot. So, and there's been a lot of damage to this body. But I think as the frequencies are changing, there's a lot of puzzle pieces that I've collected that would seem to suggest that I have control over what actually goes down here, what partly with my thoughts and what I manifest, but also in that if we really are going through some sort of an ascension, an embodied ascension, an embodiment, as some would seem to suggest, and some of my own experiences seem to point to. When I look out over, of the huge picture that's being presented to me by the universe out there, in the out there, metaphorically speaking, I keep being shown. It's all about finding the power, the embodiment, getting whole and sovereign within myself, trusting that I got this no matter what. Because I see the question being asked, who are you going to believe? This gaslighting bunch of stuff out here where you're not even supposed to believe your own eyes, your own ears, your own thought processes, or do you, I don't know. For me, it's a little disingenuous to not trust self anymore, and that's where it's all keeps pointing for me, is to trust self. What if the human race is actually just now moving from? I got a feeling we're just like teenagers in our 60s, even. Okay, I bet there's a couple of y'all out there that could probably attest to this. There are it. I'm not ready to go and take this knowledge, what I'm learning, what I'm gathering about myself, and have to start all over again. I feel like there's more, and it's about to shift into that sci-fi world. I mean, hey, I keep being shown. Well, that's it. I'm gonna let y'all go. I just wanted to come on and say my painting fell down back there. Scared the life out of me too. I just wanted to come on and say that I'm coming back. Look for me here. Also, go over and subscribe to New Light Streaming Love here on YouTube. It's also on Rumble. Go to newlightstreaming.love, and that's KNEW, lightstreaming.love. Who knew that you could get not a YouTube, a www dot that was dot love. That was so cool. The coolest thing. You can find us on TikTok and Spotify and all these other places. Crystal got us all hooked up, and we even have a New Light Team on X. It's at New Light Team, KNEW. So look for us because Crystal and we're ready. Okay, we're ready to come back. We're ready to do some things, but it's going to be all new. For me, I want this interaction. Let's get a move on now. I feel it. It's time. So y'all reach out to me, conscious conversation central at gmail.com if you want to come and have a conversation with me. If you want to have a reading with me, um, anything like that, just reach out, man. I don't charge. There's no money changing hands. That's not what any of this is about. Okay. Let's so if anybody ever, let's just get that right out of the gate. Anybody ever contacts you and tells you that they are me and they want you to pay up front or something like that, I don't charge. So it's kind of hard for people to scam anybody where I'm concerned, because not only do I not charge, I there's I would never. That's not what this is about for me. If you feel drawn to have a reading from me, there's a reason, and part of that reason involves me as well. Meaning, I will get out of it whatever. There's something, you know what I mean? There is a reciprocation involved that I don't want it to be based on money. There's something else that happens energetically with me. And I don't want it to be, I don't want there to be any kind of question in anybody's mind. This is about learning about ourselves. So I love you guys. Mwah. All right, Andrew. I love that. And I love that. Thank you, Coincidence Cafe. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Let's get that set all that up. By the way, the song is, oh gosh, it's Shelf in the Room by Days of the New. Okay, I will go and take a look at that, Andrew, and see what's and you got to take a listen to that conversation, honey, because I had a huge earworm with Major Tom, the 2001 Space Odyssey, all that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, that's been tied up and coming in here in the last couple of days too. That's just that really, really, really drives home for me this feeling that we are right on the precipice of some breakthroughs and getting ready to, well, and now for something completely different. So, mwah. Till next time, everyone be well. Have a great evening.